Hi friends. Hope everybody's doing well out there today. Afternoon, evening, or night, depending on your time zone.
Matt Brown, the eldest son from Alaskan bush people, has been sentenced. But let's be clear, this wasn't a sentence handed down by a judge, and it doesn't involve a prison cell. It's a sentence to a life of exile, a heartbreaking goodbye to the show and the family that made him a star. His journey from a charismatic, fan-favorite wilderness hero to a man battling his own demons marks a tragic turn in his public story. So, what really led to the final break from his family and the show? The full story is more complex, more shocking, and more tragic than you might think. And while it may seem like the end of the road, Matt's story is far from over. It's just entered a new, much quieter chapter. Imagine being the proud face of a beloved TV family, the leader of the wolf pack in the Alaskan wilds. For millions, Matt Brown was more than just a reality star. He was a symbol of rugged independence and unbreakable family bonds. He was the quirky inventor, the skilled hunter, and the bush philosopher. But behind the camera, a devastating story was unfolding, one of addiction, scandal, and deep-seated heartbreak. How did the golden boy of the wilderness become the family's most painful controversy? It's a story of a man exiled by his own struggles, by public opinion, and ultimately, by his own family. To get the full picture, you have to remember the guy the world first met. When Alaskan Bush People premiered on May 6, 2014, it introduced a family supposedly living off the grid. Right at the front was Matt Brown, the oldest of the 7 siblings. From day one, Matt stood out. He was charming, well-spoken, and had this unique mix of old-school wilderness skills and a surprising talent for mechanics. He was the one who could rig a generator from spare parts or fix a boat engine in the middle of nowhere, then turn around and discuss ancient history by the fire. In those early seasons, Matt was the clear leader of the Brown kids. He was the protector and the innovator, and viewers were hooked by his creativity. We watched him craft everything from leatherwork to makeshift shelters. His siblings often talked about his intelligence and natural ability to figure things out. When a plan went sideways or equipment broke, he was the one they looked to. His relationship with his late father, Billy Brown, was a huge part of the show. Billy was the dreamer, and he relied on Matt to make those dreams a reality. There was a clear expectation that Matt, as the firstborn, would one day carry the family torch. It was an honor, but as we'd later find out, it was also a massive burden. His bond with his siblings seemed unbreakable. He was the fun big brother who led them on adventures, but also felt a deep responsibility for them. Fans saw him as the ideal of the show, tough but gentle, capable but curious. His popularity shot through the roof, making him a fan favorite. But that adoration came with a hidden cost. The pressure to be the perfect wilderness hero, week after week, was building, planting the seeds of his eventual fall. For years, Matt Brown was the picture of leadership, but behind the scenes, a private battle was raging. The first public sign of trouble came in 2016 when Matt, in a move that shocked viewers, announced he was entering rehab for alcohol abuse. He was honest about it, admitting to fans he'd felt himself spiraling when he spent time away from the family. While it was a brave admission, it was also the first real sign that the idyllic life on TV wasn't the whole story. The temptations the Browns claimed to be shielded from were very real and were taking a toll on their eldest son. The family and network supported him, and fans rallied around him with messages of hope. After rehab, he returned to the show, seemingly refreshed, but the struggle was far from over. Matt would later claim that a major source of his conflict was the pressure from production to present a life that wasn't entirely real, suggesting the family used modern conveniences that were edited out of the show. He said the guilt of living what he felt was a lie contributed to his drinking. Then, in May 2017, a bizarre and terrifying incident gave a glimpse into his turmoil. Matt was hospitalized with a serious head injury after an explosion in his Browntown home. The cause: he had reportedly stored a mason jar filled with gunpowder in his refrigerator, and it detonated, blowing the door off and landing him in the ICU. Publicly, it was framed as a foolish accident, but it was a deeply concerning sign of erratic behavior. The cracks were no longer just appearing, they were beginning to fracture the foundation of his life. The road to recovery is almost never a straight line, and for Matt, the period after his first rehab stint was a roller coaster. This turbulence led to a series of events that would permanently cut his ties with both the show and his family. In 2018, matriarch Amy Brown's cancer diagnosis forced the family to leave Alaska and relocate to a 435-acre property in Washington State, which they called North Star Ranch. This was meant to be a new beginning for the Wolfpack, but for Matt, it was the beginning of the end. He didn't join them. Instead, he stayed in California to focus on his sobriety, a decision that created a massive rift between him and the family. Later that year, he confirmed he was back in rehab for a second time. While the family's public statements were supportive, their patience was clearly wearing thin. His absence from the show became permanent in 2019, and he disappeared from the screen without any explanation, leaving fans to wonder what happened. Then, in 2020, the most devastating blow landed. Two women, who had both worked for the Brown family, came forward with allegations of sexual assault against Matt. One woman, a former personal assistant, claimed Matt raped her in 2018. A second woman, his former manager, alleged he assaulted her. Just days later, both women claimed Matt had been drinking heavily at the time of the alleged attacks. The case was reported to the LAPD and later forwarded to the LA County District Attorney's Office, which ultimately declined to prosecute, citing insufficient evidence. But in the court of public opinion, the damage was instant and severe. The Discovery Channel, facing a major scandal, parted ways with Matt. While there was no official public statement confirming a firing, his time on the show was over. There was no farewell episode, just a silent removal. The face of the franchise was now an outcast. In the aftermath, Matt began speaking out on social media, painting a picture of betrayal. He made explosive allegations that production had enabled his substance abuse and that his late father, Billy, had controlled and withheld his earnings from the show. These claims created an irreparable rift. His brother, Bear Brown, publicly refuted Matt's allegations, calling them horrible lies. Other siblings, like Snowbird, have stated publicly that they no longer associate with or speak to Matt. The downward spiral was complete. Matt was estranged from his family, gone from his job, and embroiled in public scandal utterly alone. This brings us to the sentence. To be perfectly clear, if you search for court records, you won't find any, because Matt Brown has not been formally sentenced in a court of law. The sentence he's living is one of exile, imposed by his actions, industry decisions, and his family's rejection. First came the professional sentence, his permanent exit from Alaskan bush people. After the serious allegations surfaced, his relationship with the Discovery Channel was severed. For Matt, this wasn't just losing a job, it was being erased from his own family's story. Next was the sentence from his own family. In the wake of his accusations against their late father, the Brown family effectively cut him off. While he reportedly lives in Loomis, Washington, not far from the family's North Star Ranch, he is a world away, emotionally, an outsider to the life he once led. Finally, there's the sentence of a life lived very differently. According to Matt's own claims, he was left with little financial stability. While his family remains on their large ranch, he has worked odd jobs to get by, but his public life is far from over. Cast out by the network that made him famous, Matt has turned to YouTube and Instagram to tell his own story. From his solitary life in Washington, he posts regular videos celebrating sobriety milestones, working on projects, and sharing philosophical thoughts. In these videos, you see the scars of a man wrestling with loneliness and betrayal. He is rebuilding his life, piece by piece, but he is doing it alone, with a small community of online followers as his main support system. So, is this really goodbye forever? In many ways, yes. It is a final goodbye to the character of Matt Brown that we knew from television. That version of him, the carefree eldest son of the Alaskan bush people, was a creation for the screen, and that chapter is closed. The show has been on an extended hiatus since 2022, and though it hasn't been officially cancelled, the bridges for Matt to return have been burned. It's also a goodbye to his public role within the Brown family unit. While private reconciliation is always possible, the public Wolfpack bond is broken. The hope for a prodigal son's on-screen return has faded into the reality of their ongoing estrangement. What's left is not the character, but the man, Matthew Brown. He's a man living a quiet life, documenting his journey of sobriety for a YouTube audience. His story has become a cautionary tale about the devastating power of addiction, the immense pressure of reality TV fame, and how quickly public opinion can change a person's life. There's no tidy ending here. There is only the ongoing struggle of a man trying to find his way back, not to the spotlight, but to himself. The adventures in the Alaskan wilderness are a lifetime ago. The final goodbye has been said, not in one moment, but over years of painful choices and irreversible consequences. We can only hope that Matt, away from the cameras and the fame, can finally find the peace he has been seeking for so long. What do you think about Matt's journey and his estrangement from the family? Leave your respectful opinions in the comments below. If you found this story compelling, please like this video and share it. For more stories that go beyond the headlines, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. The story of Matt Brown is a somber reminder of the human cost that can be hidden behind our entertainment. The wild, adventurous life of the Alaskan bush people captured our imaginations, but for one of its biggest stars, the wilderness within proved to be the most dangerous of all. The curtain has fallen on his TV life, a final heartbreaking goodbye. Hopefully, in his solitude, he can build a new life of peace for himself, far from the world that both made him and broke him. Thank you for watching.